Welcome back. What we're going to do now is she needs to be able to speak to us for the rest of this process. So we're going to, if you want, sometimes they don't open their eyes, sometimes they do, but we do need to create openings for her to be able to see, hear, smell, speak, so that we can continue to learn from her. For myself, I'm feeling as though her eyes are going to remain closed, but I'm going to take some of that Payne's Gray and I'm going to darken her eyelashes back up, give her a little lash here. Very soft. She feels very, very soft to me. So I don't think there's going to be very heavy line work or anything for her. But I'm just going in with a flat brush and bringing back her eyes a little bit here. And we'll do this several times before the painting is finished. You'll keep doing this many times, actually, before the painting itself is done. Simply because, you'll do more layers over top, and it'll need to be done a few times. And you can do lashes, you don't have to. I feel as though she has these super soft sort of lashes, and she doesn't have as big of eyes as a lot of my other paintings either, so this is interesting for me. A lot of my other paintings have these very large, broad eyes, but she doesn't seem to. She's got more quiet, natural sort of eyes. But you can get totally wild with them. I've had some that have had very large eyes, like to the point where the lashes went way out on the sides. Sometimes you can do wings over the eyes. Like this almost feels to me as though the wings, like if you want to bring in the elements in it, depending on what was in your visioning, you can actually bring in the earth, air, fire, water elements, since we already have spirit here with what we're doing, and you can actually bring in air with a wing over the eyes, over one of the eyes, or both, depending, and just little symbolic things like that as you go along with your painting. And I'm just going to darken her brows so she has an eyebrow of some sort, because I don't want her to not have eyebrows. That never feels good. We've all seen those lovely ladies who have their pencil brows. It works for some people, not for me. I can't pencil a brow to save my life. And it's just little things like this, like we're almost waking her up or bringing her to life a little bit. And I'm just giving her nostrils so she can breathe, and it's literally just touching the canvas with the corner of the brush. But you can do it with a small brush if you want, whatever works for you. I'm just used to using these large flat ones when I do this sort of thing. And the same thing with her mouth. You want to open it, like I have it so that she looks like she's speaking. As I said in one of the previous videos, you don't actually have to have it so she looks like she's talking. You can do all of your writing on different areas of the painting wherever you want to put it. It was my choice to put it almost like a word spiral. And I'm just going to do the corners of her mouth. I feel like she's smiling a little bit. She feels very gentle. She wants me to be gentle with myself and try to... I've always been one that pushes myself more than I should and pushes myself too hard. I expect a lot from myself, more than I should, as many of us do. I'm not trying to get anything perfect right now. I'm just kind of messing around with her eyebrows and trying to get things sort of where they might end up being later. And that's just the Payne's Gray. I know it looks black, but it's just Payne's Gray. That was most of the Payne's Gray that I wanted to use right now. because she's not going to be very graphic. I feel like she's going to be very soft. Some of my paintings can get quite graphic in nature with like dark lines and things like that, but she feels very, very soft to me. A lot of the things in my visioning, a lot of the things in that room with the tree growing up in the middle of it, were soft and tactile. There was lots of fabrics and soft blankets and things like that. So I kind of feel as though she's a very soft representation. And remember, we're not painting a person necessarily. We're painting a visual reminder of ourselves when we feel sumptuous, when we feel so good that we just go, just by ourselves. It doesn't have to be anything about anyone else. This is just for us. And you'll notice one of the things that I did was added a few little stars, because I know I'm going to be going a little bit more with the turquoise, a little bit darker over there. So what I like to do is add a layer of stars, and then when I go another glaze over top of it with the turquoise, it puts those ones back, and then I do another layer of stars, and then depending on how many layers of paint you put on the painting, you can do that each layer, and then you literally, when you're done, you can still see all the stars, but it looks as though it actually goes back, you know, when you look at the sky, and you can see that some of the stars are closer and some of them are further away. So that's part of the building of the layers that I enjoy so much. And now that most of this is dry, this is the stage where you can go back in, and I want you can journal first, or you can just do it on the fly. For me, it's really good to do it as a journal exercise first, because you can look at, that's why I asked you to divide the page in half, because you can literally, one half of the page is all those nasty things that we say to ourselves, and then the other side of the page, directly opposite of those nasty things, for each one of those nasty things, you say a positive thing, and you write that down. Like, you change it. Like, if you wrote down, like I had, I don't have time, you can write down next to that, on the other side of that dividing line, I'm going to make time. If you had something like, I don't deserve it, whatever it is, whatever treat it is, or whatever thing it is that makes you feel sumptuous, that time alone where you just smell the air, or whatever it was for you, instead of having that thought on the other side of that line, you can write down, I deserve, and whatever it was. Or you can do multiples of those, if there's many things you deserve, because you do. So things like that. Go through your list of those thoughts and write out the opposites almost. Turn them into things that you can do. And while you're doing that, think about the reasons why those limiting thoughts came up first. Because that's part of changing them, is to actually look at where they come from and acknowledge them and think about how to change them. You're literally rewiring your brain on this. So when you go through that process of going through that list that you made and writing out sort of a changed version of those original thoughts, what you're doing is creating those new thought patterns. So you can go back in once you've done your list and thought about it, and possibly used up half a box of Kleenex because you realized that these are the horrible things I've been saying to myself to stop myself from doing something that's so simple to make me happy. You go in and you write all those positive things that you thought of. And you can do that as many times as you want, those positive phrases. because if you want them to be visible, in my original painting that inspired this workshop, mine aren't visible because I went over them a couple of layers. But that was just because, you know, I don't necessarily want people to read all of my thoughts all the time. But if you do want to keep those there so that you can read them and have them as a reminder, then you can write them out in this layer so that you can start that process. Like I said, we've awakened her. We've brought her features forward a little bit, taken her from raw line work into a little bit more, and it's not done yet, it's just a little bit more aliveness for her. And what you can do now, because as a part of that bringing her to life, is to start to change what you're telling yourself. And you can do that on the same places you did it on your painting before. Hey, coming up. This one's coming too. He's also one of my positive thought processes. Oh, I love you too. And you are. So it's very helpful. So what you can do is actually go through that whole list and change all of those thoughts that you originally had, that you wrote down. All those things that we say to ourselves all the time to keep ourselves from doing the things that we enjoy. Like, for instance, it's silly, but I love cuddling him. So filming these videos, I could very easily, and he loves to chew on my fingers, it's a thing. I have no explanation. I could have simply said, you know, I'm filming a video, I'm not going to pick him up right now. But I know that I love cuddling him and he loves cuddling me, so I make a conscious choice to do the things that I know bring me joy. And that includes this little crazy guy. So part of this next step in the process, I want you to go through that whole list and just change it. Change it to whatever it is that you want more of. And that list, it can be, you know, changing the negative thought pattern to a positive thought pattern. And that positive list can also include things that you want to bring into your life, what you want more of. And that list can be longer than your negative list. It's no problem. And then I want you to bring that into your painting. And like I said, you can either cover it over later with more layers, or keep it, or if you like the color that you have wherever you have your wording on your painting, then you can keep it, or just bring it out. Every new layer that you add, you can write it out again. And it will just reinforce those new thought patterns each time. So I just wanted to share that little bit with you so that while you're awakening her, you're also awakening yourself, making yourself aware of changing your thought patterns. Okay. So I just wanted to show that little bit to you and share it with you. I didn't expect this, but but he also brings me joy. You do? Yeah. Did I shock you? And I'll be back soon.